Good morning, everyone. We'll go ahead and get started because it's 8:30. I'm sure some people will still be joining us. But welcome to our last meeting of 2025 for the Utah Children's Care Coordination Network. Hard to believe that another year has passed. So just a little quick glance at our agenda. We'll have some announcements. Case share and brainstorming. I'm still confirming our case share. I don't think it's happening today, unfortunately. Um, but if somebody has one that they're thinking of right now, that would be great to fill that space. And then our learning session today is going to be around transitioning to adulthood. And we'll hear about Transition University and then also a summary of the 2025 Transition Summit. And then we'll end with some questions and wrap up. So, just a quick reminder to please update your Zoom profile. So, up in the upper right-hand corner of your picture or your little box on Zoom, you'll see three dots. If you click on that, there's an option to rename yourself. We'd love for you to include your name, the agency you work with, and your role. And then also, if you're joining us for the first time and can put your email in the chat, that helps us make sure that you're on our listserv. You get our emails, you get the notes, you'll get the monthly invites as well. So take a couple minutes to do that. I always end up with a few that are a mystery to me. It's either like a phone number or just the first name of somebody. So if you can do that, that would be really helpful. So for announcements today, I wanted to take just a couple minutes to give you a little overview of what our 2026 plans are going to look like. As the planning committee, we meet and try to come up with topics that we think will be valuable for this group for the year. So these are the topics we put together for 2026. Um, we'll start off the year with some things around teen mental health. I think somebody from the Youth Crisis Center is actually going to be joining us for that. And then February, we'll talk about things around social determinants of health, community factors that influence health. March, we'll have a motivational interviewing training. April, comp care. May is going to be our updates month, so all the updates around like Title V legislation, Medicaid. We're going to try to wrap into one meeting this year. And then you can see the rest of the topics. These are not set in stone. Sometimes I have to shift things around depending on providers or presenters availability. And then we also have space in November still to for any topics that come up. So if somebody's like, oh man, I'm looking over this list and this topic I really wanted is not there, please let us know. And you'll actually have a chance to do that next month. We'll send out our you our evaluation survey. So that'll be the 2025 post evaluation and then our 2026 pre evaluation. And in that survey, you'll have a chance to also comment on any topics or um, fill. Sorry, you'll have the chance to leave us any ideas of things you would like to fill that space with. Also for 2026, you probably have already seen it, hopefully on your calendars. I've sent out a new Zoom invite for the 2026 meeting series, and it is a new Zoom link for each year. So just be aware of that. It's on the invite. I'll send reminders every month as well, but just to be aware that it is a new meeting ID for 2026. So, any questions on that? All right. So, one other thing I wanted to talk about quickly, since we have a couple extra minutes this morning, is the Trello board. So, this is something new we're trying as a new way of gathering and organizing the resources of the month that have gone out previously. So usually at the end of every meeting, I'll send out a summary of what happened, links to resources, things like that. And instead, I'll still send the email, but it's going to link to this board, this Trello board. So we have just the last few months on here. We were kind of trying to trial it. So it's organized as follows. You've got your recordings here, and if you click on the links, it'll actually take you right to the YouTube channels or YouTube videos that are linked for each month. So this was our November meeting. In addition, if you click just on the, oh, sorry, clicked on the wrong one. Um, and then there's also a short description. Sorry, let's see. We want to expand it is what we want to do. You can see it'll link right in here as well. We've got the learning, all the slides are attached here and they're labeled by what they were covering. If you click on each of these cards, it'll expand and give you a little bit more about who the presenters were, the agency that they, links to their websites of the agencies they represent. Next is the resources shared. Again, so there's organized in a few different ways here. We have links directly to websites. So this is an example. Last month we talked about the Sibling Project through the Utah Parent Center. So this link goes directly to their website, but they also sent some flyers. So here you'll see that the flyers are linked. If you expand it, here's the PDFs that you can download, share, save, that kind of thing. Announcements, same thing. They're linked either to a website or a flyer. And then we have a few miscellaneous ones here too. These have more information if you click on them. So here, if you're ever missing the Zoom meeting link, here it can be found there. We've got information about the listserv and the link there. If you can't find it, you can always submit an idea. We'd love to hear from you. So anyway, we this is a new tool, obviously, and we would love some feedback about that. We'll include some questions about it on our next evaluation that we do in January. So again, love for you to go in there, kind of play around a little bit and see what you like about it. Something that we're also going to try to add in more of is labels. So you can see here some of these have colors on them. These are different labels organized by topic. And then it'll allow you to search by those. So over here, I've got a way to filter cards. And I could say right now there's not too many because we just started this last month. But for example, if I'm like, I know somebody talked about something related to therapy services, and you just click on that label, it'll pull up anything that has that tag label on it. So hopefully a helpful way to kind of organize a lot of the resources that we get throughout the year. Any questions on that? I know that was like a really quick overview, and we'll try to touch base on it a few times again throughout the year since it's new, but all right. Okay, so for our brainstorming, as I mentioned, I think our case share actually wasn't able to join last minute today, so we'll just open up the time to you all. If anybody has a case you want to bring to the group, announcements to share, new resources you've heard about, this is your time.
Athena, this is Dora.
Hi, Dora.
Hi. Um, just wanted to I've been going to all the clinics and asking if they, now that Intermountain Health has Epic CareLink, and obviously the University of Utah has always had Epic. Um, but if anyone needs assistance to request it for Shriners, they are all different organizations, so they have different access. Um, I can assist you with requesting it for Shriners. And also, if you want to learn how to log them all in and toggle so you don't have to log into all of and remember all the different passwords, I can help you with that as well. That is so easy, and everybody that has it now loves it just because it is very secured accounts. So this way they don't have to log into all of them. So happy to help. Um, I'll just put my information on there. You can send me a text message or email if you need help with any of that.
Great. Thanks, Dora.
Thanks.
Does anybody else have anything you want to share in our brainstorming section? Okay, we will move on to our learning session. So today we're going to be talking about transition to adulthood. And our presenter today is Natasha Burningham from the Utah Parent Center. And I'm actually not seeing her on here, so that is fun. Um, unless she is under somebody else's name.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hi,
Hi.
Adragna. Hi,
Hi. Welcome.
my name's Jessica. I'm part of RTU University. So I do
Great.
have Natasha here with me, but she has me kind of learning the ropes. So I will be
Excellent.
doing the presentation for today. Um,
Let me make you a co-host so you can share your screen. Okay.
and can everybody see my screen okay?
Yes, we can see it. Thanks.
Okay. Um, so you guys already know Natasha. Um, my name is Jess. Like I said, I'm a parent consultant for our TU department. So part of our transition curriculum, we have three books. We have our choices book, our successful transition for youth with disabilities, and our guardianship handbook. Um, all of our all of our books that we have and on our website, we do have them color coordinated. So they will match not only the information we have on the website, but as well as our TU calendar that we change each month, where we offer different workshops for self-advocates and families. So that is something that kind of makes it, I think it's a little bit easier, kind of helps being able to navigate Transition University a little bit better by having those kind of broken down into those colors. Um, mm, okay, sorry. So we also have some links that will take you to our books that we have online. We will put those in the chat later. So this is for our choices book, just kind of our table of contents, things that, once again, it's color coded. So it goes over things like daily life, safety, communication, healthcare. Um, and then here is for our youth workbook, the transition content guide. So we have our citizenship and advocacy, daily life education and employment, community living, safety and security for the future, social and spirituality, as well as our healthy living section. The red section, this is going to be from our guardianship book. So once again, our table of content. Um, The guardianship guidebooks have been distributed to the individuals, parents, and professionals statewide. It discusses alternatives to guardianship, the responsibilities of a guardian, and how to file for guardianship without a lawyer. It also will go over some more information about supported decision making, which this book will be getting updated as well once we get some more information as far as the changes that are going to be happening with guardianship. This is a page from our transition from for youth for successful transitions, part of our purple section. So all the stuff that's in purple is going to be for citizenship and advocacy. So we teach our families, our self-advocates about the history of disability rights, learning about disability disclosure and appropriate times to do so. There are worksheets in the books for individuals to help kind of give them a more hands-on approach, as well as resources. And our yellow section, this will cover daily life, education, and employment. So we have and kind of, as you can see on the left side, the checklist. These are part of the worksheets that are designed for the families and those self-advocates that can kind of, like I said, kind of help them with a little bit more hands-on, kind of having that visual, and also, a little checklist can be helpful for them. Um, It'll go over the yellow section, daily life skills. So teaching those independent skills that can be anything from preparing healthy meals, going grocery shopping on a budget, being healthy, regular exercise, cleaning and organizing your home. So those living skills, communicating effectively, going over information about, work, that work environment, acting professionally, um, and how to manage your time. So there is a lot of information. I know we have just a little section, but I think it's really good resource for families and self-advocates, especially to have and kind of look through. Our green section, so community living, going over self-determination skills. We have our person-centered planning, some more worksheets off to the right that families can kind of sit down with their self-advocate and go through. Um, and then like I said, we will also put the links in there that will take you to those books. That way individuals and their parents have them, and all those resources are included in there as well. Our red section, so safety and security for the future. Um, Once again, kind of talking about safety and security in home, online, in the community. We talk about supported decision making and alternatives to guardianships, able accounts and stable accounts, power of attorneys, trusts, Social Security, understanding how to layer employment and Social Security, wills and trusts, and worksheets and resources. Off to the right, we have our Pro Se checklist, Pro Se process checklist. So that is for families that are interested in that Pro Se process. It kind of gives them an overview of required documents, things that they would need. So if they're looking for kind of a basic idea of what that looks like, that is a good checklist for them to kind of refer to. That way they have an idea, kind of, if that's something moving forward that they think they would like to pursue. Mhm. And then our orange section, so social and spirituality. We'll go over physical, mental, and social well-being, opportunities for meeting people, dating, resources. We do, for our workshops, sometimes we collaborate with our Tetons program. They help self-advocates, staying safe online, being able to understand things like catfishing, what is a healthy relationship. So that section is really important as well to help teach our self-advocates those life skills. And then we have our blue section. So this is our healthy living and adult health care, our transitioning into adult health care. So managing our medical care, understanding for different individuals, what does that look like? Things like being able to communicate with the doctor, learning about their medications, learning about medical conditions they may have, being able to understand and make an appointment with the doctor or find out about how to do refills for their medication. Um, We also have our transition toolkit and our care notebook as well. We also have some information for Got Transition, which I think it's really great for families to have, just because it can really help, you know, answering the questions that they have, really help kind of give individuals a better idea of what are their goals that they're looking to achieve? What are they looking for after that that high school setting? We also talk about mental health, information for the crisis line, the warm line, safe UT app, and then also resources and worksheets as well are in there. And this is just some information for about our youth advisory board. It is a it is a group of individuals that are from 14 to 22. So we have self-advocates at all different ages. We do our meetings online for most of the meetings. We do have some in-person meetings. They do go with us, so we will be going, and we went last year. We went and went to the Capitol, did some poster making. They come out and they help with local events, just kind of getting out there and really putting their voice and letting other individuals with disabilities know that, um, they have the right to help and understand their needs and rights, stand up for themselves, understanding everything from, like we talked about, when they turn that transition age, getting involved in their transition IEP, learning about the pediatric to adult healthcare, all kinds of different legislation, all kinds of things that are really important for them to utilize and be able to self advocate for the and be able to see growth and change, especially in their community. Um, Here is our transition website. So once again, it is color code coordinated, as well as our calendar. So that will kind of help families if they're looking to maybe do a workshop in February and it's purple, they can refer back to the purple section of our workbooks. So it will talk about our TU modules available by topic, modules including training, video, and supplemental materials. We do have them in English and in Spanish as well. And then new tools, our voting video, we have our guardianship video and educational video, amongst a plethora of other videos that we have online for families. And here are just some of the things, oh, sorry, some what participants are saying about TU. So many things that bring me courage to navigate life with my disabled child, the possibility that my child might be able to work. It gave me options for the transition of my child to adult life and love the information on self-determination, trying to figure out how to give my child a bigger part in making decisions. Here is our TU calendar. So it is the every second Tuesday from 7 to 8:30. Some of our workshops, we do have individuals from our youth advisory board join us, and they do go over their own life experiences. So we had a couple months ago where it was fitting in at school, making your voice heard. How do you advocate for yourself? How do you um, you know, not just blending in school, but fitting in and standing out. So we had, like I said, we had one of our youth advisory board members come and he talked about his experience with school and finding his own path, finding his voice. So it is nice for families to bring their youth. We are encouraging that youth. We're trying to get them to attend more just to go over the curriculum and kind of see the resources information that we have. But it's definitely good for parents as well. So it will, just a couple other things. We also do offer our one-on-one consultations and our dedicated newsletter, and the parent press as well with our TU topics. Embrace what is. So, um, obviously, I have two kiddos that have disabilities, and it's one of those things. You have a vision of what you think the future is going to look like, but obviously, we can't change things. All we can do is really embrace it. And a little quote that we have is motherhood and fatherhood. It's about raising and celebrating the child you have, not the child you thought you would have. It's about understanding that they are exactly the person they are supposed to be. And then we have, oh, that one needs to be updated. Our main line, that is our main line. So families can always reach out to us through calling the center, the website, and then I will put updated information in the chat about who to contact because it should have Natasha's information in there. And that is it that I have on here. So I will stop sharing. Does anybody have questions? I will go back and put all this information in the chat as well.
What questions do we have for Jess?
Yeah, Eric,
Hey, Jess, I was
hi.
just curious, how many families or and youth have you guys served with Transition University? I mean, I don't know if you have a number right off the top of your head, but I mean, it's such a valuable program and it covers so many things that um, I would think people would be lining up to take, to take the courses.
I don't have a number off my head, and honestly, I just recently started a little while ago, so Natasha's been here like much longer. But I mean, I know just yeah, every time we go to like school events, things like that. Definitely, we have families that and it's pretty interesting. They haven't even really heard of Transition University. I know we talk to clients, and they're not even really aware of that transition IEP and what's in there or the services that the school can be helping with their kid, finding those jobs, planning for college or if it's independent living, whatever it may be. So I think I'm hoping that yeah, it'll take a big it'll really kind of take off this next year, especially having self advocates joining and being able to get online and watch those workshops, things like that. But I think it's very, very informative resources for families to have. I wish I had a number, but
No, no worries. I was kind of throwing you under the bus asking that question. I just know that as we go out and we do transition events or agency events, we promote Transition University all the time, or a lot of times we're at those same events with Utah Parent Center, and we're always saying, make sure you go over to that Utah Parent Center table and you look at those guardianship books or supported decision making books and get connected with Utah Parent Center. I'm always amazed at how many parents have, kids, youth with special healthcare needs, and they've been on this trajectory for so long and really aren't even aware of Utah Parent Center. And so we're like, it's not too late. Get over there and, get all the goodies and help you can get from Utah Parent Center, um, because they are so helpful and especially this transition university piece is valuable. So we promote Utah Parent Center and Transition University every chance we get.
well, thank you. We appreciate that. Yeah, I think it is very, very interesting. You learn a lot. It's definitely, I'm grateful that I was able to get this job because I've learned so much. And it's like when you do talk with families, like it's nice being able to share that information with them. Because yeah, not everybody has the time to really dig in and do the research and things like that. And so especially with our transition curriculum, I think that's great for them where they just have it in one spot and can kind of look over things at their own pace. I'm just putting these in the chat. These are going to be for our choices book, our transition. for youth book and our guardianship. There's also the link for the Spanish version as well.
Great, and I'm loading all of these onto that Trello board. So if you after the meeting want to go find them, they'll all be linked there. Just tell me your last name. I didn't catch it at the beginning.
It's Adragna.
Adragna?
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. All right. Does anybody else have any questions? Natalie Allen just put in the comments, I might recommend service coordinators and providers attend Transition University. They're so helpful. That's a great suggestion as well, just to get an idea for what it would be like for parents to go. Okay, I'm going to turn the time over to Eric then to talk about. Oh, Dusty also just said, agreed, it was helpful. I've attended before and it's so helpful. So um, we'll make sure all these links get on that Trello board, and then we'll turn some time over to Eric to talk about what happened at the 2025 Transition Summit.
All right, so I am going to make an attempt here to share my screen. I believe I have the right one up. So when I hit share, I'm hoping you're seeing an actual presentation. Let me know if you are seeing that in presentation mode. Thanks, Athena, for the thumbs up. Just as a little preface, the Office of Children with Special Healthcare Needs at Department of Health and Human Services is responsible for two national performance measures on the Maternal Child Health Block Grant, Title V. That is the federal funding that pays for a lot of maternal child health, children with special healthcare needs, and youth activities in the state. Just for your point of reference, it is not a substantial sum to do the entire amount of work that is done in the state. It's about 6.2, $6.3 million, and it has been that sum for about as long as I can remember. 30% of that funding is required to support children and youth with special healthcare needs. And one focus for the Office of Children with Special Healthcare Needs and built into our block grant every year is that transition to adult health care for our children and youth with special healthcare needs. As part of that ongoing work, we've been very fortunate in this state that there has been a huge uptick over the last, I want to say decade, but especially last maybe 7 years on collaboration with Department of Health and Human Services, the University of Utah, Intermountain Health, Utah, this Office of Education on the state level, many of our community partners, Utah Parent Center, so many organizations that serve youth, because we are really wanting to ensure that our kids with special healthcare needs are able to thrive in an after 18 environment where they suddenly drop off this cliff of kids and become adults. And we're trying to support them in all levels, educationally, vocationally, and definitely in the healthcare arena. To that end, every year for the past, 7 years, we have held a teen to adult healthcare transition summit in November. This has been, through COVID, pre-COVID, post-COVID. We've done that live, we've done it hybrid. And for the last couple of years, it has been a hybrid option. This year, we had far more attendees that attended live than attended virtually. This is good a lot of times, just sometimes trying to get people into breakout rooms or do things like that can be a little bit tricky when we have live and virtual audience. But as we get better and better at this and the technology gets, I don't want to say easier, but as we have more support with the technology, we're able to support a larger uh, group of participants at these events. I'm going to pull up the agenda because I don't know how many of you had the opportunity to actually attend, but I'm just going to go over just some key highlights from the summit, some of the discussion that took place, some of those takeaways, and then I'd like to share some information on transition to adult healthcare statistics in the state of Utah. So we are very fortunate to have very high level support for transition to adult healthcare um, uh, at from Intermountain Health, from the University of Utah, and Dr. Angelo Giardino, who is uh, over pediatrics at Primary Children, sorry, at University of Utah, and very closely affiliated with Primary Children's, gave our welcome and overview. He believes very much in the work that is being done, the importance of ensuring that our youth and young adults are able to make that transition to adult healthcare and adult behavioral healthcare comfortably. We began after his overview and welcome with our first session, which was Understanding Healthcare Transition in Rural Utah. And we were very fortunate to have a really terrific panel. Jonathan Bassett, who is a community health provider, a family practice provider out of Fillmore. Gwen Anderson, who was one of our care coordinators from these very meetings, and we contract with through Department of Health and Human Services out of our Southeast Utah Health Department. And then our very own Natalie Allen, who is not from Tri-County Health, but who actually works here at Department of Health and Human Services and provides a lot of her nurse practitioner skills to support our providers in rural Utah, and in turn support the families that they serve in conjunction with our care coordinators. And just so you know, Department of Health and Human Services contracts with 4 local health departments: Southeast, San Juan, Central, and Tri-County. So just some towns you may know of in those areas. Blanding in San Juan. In Southeast, we look at Moab and Price. In Central, Richfield. And up in Tri-County, we're kind of looking Vernal, Duchesne, Roosevelt area. And Natalie provides a lot of support to our care coordinators in those areas and has a real grasp on a lot of those challenges. And it was very interesting to hear how our providers support families and youth in rural areas where we don't often have a lot of providers in general, I'm going to say, and particularly pediatric providers. And so it's always a challenge to find providers and services in these rural areas. And I am astounded daily by the types of services, the organizations that are located, all sorts of amazing supports for our families in rural Utah and in all of these areas. So it surprises me greatly that with a lot of tenacity, a lot of effort, a lot of coordination, we're able to support a large amount of families in rural Utah. And care coordination is such a very important part of that, making sure we get those connections with the right people, that we are able to communicate with those families. Dr. Bassett said that sometimes the challenge is, because he's a family practice doctor and sees these kids from cradle to grave a lot of times, if the child continues to live in the community as they go through high school and then become a young adult, is being able to incorporate that youth voice into those visits, into the practice, and making sure that parents learn and understand how to kind of back off just a little bit so that there's that one-on-one time of the doctor with the patient. He talked about having very close relationships with some of his patients that will text him directly about questions they have and concerns that they have about their own healthcare. And being able to be positive and build those types of relationships is incredibly important. And I don't care if you are the direct service provider, if you're a care coordinator, if you're a service provider in a school or another organization, building trusting relationships with youth, I think, was the takeaway from this. That it's so very, very important to have providers you can trust, that you can confide in, that will help you through this transition journey. Our next uh, our next group was absolutely fantastic. It was our youth group, our very own Natasha Burningham facilitated that group, asked some questions to some of our really terrific kids who were from the Youth Advisory Board and self-advocates, and they talked about their experiences with self-advocacy, with being able to speak up for their own rights, their own perceptions, their own needs. And so often these kids get talked over, their parents get talked to while they're in the room, as if sometimes they're not even there. And I think some of our kids were frustrated saying, I want the doctor to talk to me. I want them to treat me like I'm an adult. I want them to treat me like I am more than just an observer in my own care, that I participate in my care, and that that is important, and that I need to be able to have a moment to speak with my provider and to let them know what my needs are and how they can best serve me. I think so often as providers, we have, I don't want to say a canned approach, but so often we have a little bit of a routine. This is how we do a visit. This is how we take care of a team physical, or, when it's a chronic condition, this is how the visit goes. And we don't often think about, let's take that additional bit of time to understand how our youth is doing and how they are dealing with all of the aspects that go along with their care. So we had some delightful youth that spoke up and talked, and got a great opportunity at some public speaking. And if they do as well speaking with their providers as they did speaking up in our summit, I'm pretty confident that these kids can hold their own. And it comes with training, and it comes with experience and being allowed to have that experience. Next, Nate Cripps from Disability Law Center gave a legislative update and spoke a lot about supported decision making, guardianship, and all of the rules and regulations that surround that. And if you're not aware, within the community, there is a lot of support for setting up supported decision making, for setting up trusts, for setting up guardianship. And most of that can be done without huge costs from lawyers through some online means through the courts. Utah Parent Center has a ton of information on that, and I would suggest you reach out to them if you have any families who are, looking at this phase of their lives at guardianship or supported decision making. 10 o'clock, Chelsea Gina from Intermountain Health gave a presentation on the UNI Health Club. For those of you who may not be aware, Intermountain Health has been working really hard on an engaging project to keep youth interested in that transition process from the time they are, 12 or 13, all the way up until they would be transferred out of pediatric healthcare through a lot of our systems. What's so terrific about this is the UNI Health Club, although designed through a lot of input and work from Intermountain Health, is available to everyone in the community. So this really nice packaged program that includes uh, uh, different types of cards, kind of practice cards for scenarios, notebooks, other types of swag, if you will, and things that make people excited to participate are available. And that information um, is for the public and can support transition activities for a lot of our practices and organizations that are supporting our youth. We then broke out into healthcare transition workshops, and it was basically based off of our topics from that morning, and then that getting started with transition work. And we met for an hour in those groups. We were able to rotate through, have some discussion. And I always find for me that those types of things are invaluable because I was able to make several really terrific connections with people there at the table as they rotated through. Uh, we were able to connect and talk and just build bigger community connections and gather more stakeholders who are really invested in transition to adult health care. 11:30, we did our healthcare transition awards. Those are some awards that our providers in the community nominated some of their patients for exceptional growth in the area of transition, some remarkable youth who have done some pretty terrific things with great physical, emotional, and behavioral health challenges. And it was amazing to be able to see those youth be recognized. At 11:50, Julie and I presented on our healthcare transition video contest, which was this year. We did not have a lot of participants. And so in addition to sharing videos from last year, one video we received this year, a message from First Lady Abby Cox, we did a little bit of a troubleshooting session and we asked people in the conference to participate with us on our planning committee for this next year. And I'll share something about that in one of my slides a little bit later on, but we're changing our format a little bit. And we are hoping that with that changed format, with more youth participation in the planning, advertising, and execution of this event, that we will have more of our youth who submit uh, uh, experiences by using their youth voice, experiences on transition to adult healthcare as they make that journey to adulthood. And then finally, Dr. Giardino closed us with some inspirational words, words of hope, words of continuation, that we're all in this together and that as we continue to work together, we can do some pretty amazing things. I'm going to pause there for just a minute, see if anyone has questions on any of the discussion, any of the uh, events that happened at the summit. I'll pause for just a minute and see. Um, I can see the screen, so who's participating. So if anyone wants to speak up at any point, put up your hand, and I can see that that hand is up. If there are no questions, I'll go ahead and move on to my next slide. So in speaking about our Youth Voice project, the last couple of years, we have requested that youth who participate submit a 30 to 60-second video of their experiences transitioning to adult health care. And again, we have not had as big a response as we would like, but we realize that that is probably because a bunch of adults were trying to push this to the uh, out to our youth in the community and probably weren't doing it right or in the right format. So this year, instead of just videos, we're going to call it our Youth Voice Project, and we are accepting any type really of medium that the youth would like to submit. That could be musical, that could be through performance, either dance or uh, uh, a small act or something like that, poetry, drawing, and of course, video. The ultimate goal here is that we would really like to inspire youth who are going through that transition to adult health care to see and hear the voice of other youth who are in a similar situation as they are, and take some inspiration from that. It also shares voice from our youth who are going through that experience themselves. I think that contributes to self-advocacy. I think that contributes to building confidence with sharing your voice. And I think it builds self-esteem knowing that you're helping other youth by sharing your voice as well. So we highly encourage folks to participate in that this year in any of these and any of this media that is available. Uh, we'd also like to invite folks to be part of our transition to adult healthcare youth voice event planning work group. We anticipate that we will begin this probably in February. We will reach out in January after the holidays for anyone who's interested in joining. But we are especially seeking youth who have special healthcare needs, or maybe don't have special healthcare needs, but maybe a sibling of someone with special healthcare needs, to really help us plan this, to help get that out to the community in ways that youth will respond to, and to be involved in this planning event throughout the year. We anticipate that we would probably meet monthly. We're going to try to hold those meetings after probably 5 o'clock so we can get, youth who are actually home and have a little bit of time, maybe after school and a little bit of homework. And we will send out additional information at the first of the year as we get that group up and going. But if you would be interested in participating, or if you work with any dynamic youth that you think would be interested, please please reach out to them and give them our information. We would love to have them participate in that group. One other thing that we mentioned, we are in the process of putting together a transition to adult healthcare adult provider database. We feel that there's a real need in the community as our youth make that transition to adult healthcare to have for lack of better words, a one-stop shop where they can hunt for a provider using certain search criteria. For example, let's say a family has a young adult with autism and they are trying to find a provider in Davis County that accepts Blue Cross Blue Shield, has Spanish speaking staff in the office, provides quiet waiting area, and obviously accepts their insurance. And with our database, folks can go in and search a whole bunch of criteria to try to find a provider that meets those needs for them. Now, this is in its infancy, and a database is only as strong as the participants who are in it. And so the QR code that I have here on this page will take a provider who is interested in participating and being included in our database to this survey that you can see on the right side. And it just asks a bunch of those questions like, what are your practice locations? What are your hours? What languages do you speak? What are accommodations you can make in your office? What is your specialty? And we're hoping then to be able to, have that built on the back end. It is a Tableau front end, and it will allow any of those fields that we create to be a searchable criteria. So this will get stronger as we build it. Right now, it's not up on any website because we don't have participants in there. So we encourage you to, if you know of adult providers who would be interested or who are already serving youth with special healthcare needs, please encourage them to submit their information so we can include them in the database.
I have a question, Eric.
Yes, Haley.
Does that include mental health services or is it more medical services?
Our initial focus was try to get as many primary care providers on there as possible, but I'll be honest with you, I think at this point we would include any adult serving provider on there because we had a big laundry list on the survey of what is your specialty. And, there was behavioral health, there's cardiology, all sorts of different things on there.
Great.
I know that Ashley Dunham was working on, has a database for Office of Substance Use and Mental Health, they're looking at providers who work with youth and young adults with intellectual disability as well and
Mhm.
are comfortable doing that. We would be happy to include any type of provider on here that is probably adult serving.
Okay, great.
Even
Thank
though
you.
that initial focus was to get as many primary care providers as we could, I think at this point that we are happy to get providers in there and try to expand that search where we can. The thoughts being that with time and with years that we would like to be a resource for a lot of, different types of services.
That's
Great
great.
question.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to gloss through the next few of these slides because we're at 25 after. I panicked for a minute thinking, ooh, I don't know if I can tap dance this long to cover some time. But let me just throw this out there and just say, how is Utah doing to prepare youth with special health care needs to transition into the world of adult health care? How do we know how we're doing overall as a state? We don't have one central place generally in the state where we collect that by CPT, ICD-9 codes, anything like that. So how are we doing that? I've shared this information before, but I want to share it again. The National Survey of Children's Health, which is put out every year, it is a random survey. They survey, families across the state, and there is a screener on the front end to determine if a family falls into the general pediatric pool or the children with special healthcare needs pool. And this is just a really terrific way to get a little bit of insight on our activities for the, that surround youth in the state. And it's an excellent source as you might be preparing grants or as you're looking at other types of information that can support you in work that you do with youth. So this is just kind of the front page that allows you to choose a state, to choose a year or two of data, and then pull up and look and see how we're doing on those measures. So I'm going to share this. This is, so you can see up here in the left corner, this is the 2023 and 24 National Survey of Children's Health. So it's a 2-year combination to have stronger statistical, reliance and inference. Because when you figure only about 750 surveys are done in the state each year, and when you figure that you have um, only a percentage of those fall into the teen and to adult healthcare range, it's a rather small number. So they combine 2 years. So just so you know, for that 23-24 national survey, 19.5% of children with special healthcare needs indicated that they received services to prepare them for transition, which means between 80 and 81% did not. Now, when you look at that, that almost seems a little bit disheartening. And you think, wow, that's not terrific. But let's hold on here for a minute. Let me show you the next slide. This slide allowed us to then, if you look on the right side, edit search criteria up here at the top. I was able to compare Utah nationwide. Utah is at 19.5% of children and youth with special healthcare needs who receive services for transition. Nationwide, they're at 21.7%. So we have some catch up to do with the national average. However, this next slide is a feel-good slide, and I want to show this to you. If you looked at the last 3 combined data set years, 23-24, 22-23, and 21-22, look all the way to the right, the national average has hovered at 21.7, 21.8, 21.7. But if you look in Utah, 21 to 22, we were at 16.6% of families reporting receiving the services necessary for transition to adult health care, 17.6 in 22-23, and 19.5 in 23 to 24. We're making steady progress here in Utah, and that's thanks to all of the great work that is going on. I just wanted to give you a to-do list really quickly. I'm not going to read this out loud. These are ways that you can promote transition in your practice. There's lots of help and support out there if you're interested in that. But promote our adult provider database, promote that participation in the Youth Voice Project. Come to the summit this next year. It's an amazing experience. You learn an awful lot. And then if you have some time, explore that National Survey of Children's Health and to learn a little bit more about our children and youth with special healthcare needs and our general pediatric population in the state from the survey responses from the parents. And then last but not least, if you have questions on transition or if we can support you in any way, Julie Southwick, who is our transition coordinator with Department of Health and Human Services, and I are always willing to help guide you in the right direction, get you connected with the Intermountain Health transition group that goes on there and lets you learn and participate and contribute to this ongoing work that is taking place. And I will end there because it is 9:30.
Thank you, Eric. Just a quick reminder before we wrap up, our January meeting will be on the 21st of January. The topic for that meeting will be on teen mental health, and I'll send out the links to the Trello board after this meeting. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Athena.
Thank you, Athena. Happy holidays, everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks, Dora.